Welcome to Ethical Hacking Essentials Module 1. And here in Module 1, what we're going to have a look at is information security fundamentals. What we're going to do with information security fundamentals is we're going to, number one, understand the need for information security. We're going to look at the elements of information security, and we're going to look at the security, functionality, and usability triad. And we're going to look at motives and goals for attacks on information security. We're going to look at the classification of attacks. So what kind of attacks are there, etc. And we're also going to look at attack vectors. And lastly, about some laws and regulations regarding information security. So let's start with number one. Here in number one, we're going to be looking at discussing information security fundamentals. So what is information security? Well, we have information. Information is actually different than data. Information has meaning. And as such, it's more valuable. And what we want to do with that information is secure it, right? Have a little bit of a state of well-being of that information in that infrastructure with respect to the possibility of theft or tampering or disruption of that information. So what we want to do is keep the threat of theft, tampering, disruption either low or to a tolerable level, and really zero theft or tampering is even better. So we want to keep it as low and tolerable as possible. So the need for security is great. It's a huge need for security. One of the reasons is of the evolution of technology. We are evolving technology so quickly that we have let security get away from us in some cases. And that technology is not focused on security. Usually it's focused on ease of use. We want to make it as easy to use as possible. Also, we rely on computers for everything, accessing, providing, storing information, and we have network environments of various types, from on-premise networks to the cloud, to IoT, to OT networks, to wired networks of various types, to wireless networks of various types. Man, quite a lot. Now we look at the impact of security breaches to the corporate, and just not just corporate, but let's say to the organization, right? Because maybe you're not a corporation. Maybe you are a family in a house, and one of the family members got hit by some type of attack, or maybe you're a nonprofit organization. No matter what you are, we don't want you to fall prey to security attacks, so that's why we need information security so much. Also, we have complexity that increases layer upon layer in infrastructure and administration and management of information security systems. That complexity also leads to attack. So we have a need for security. So let's look at some of the elements of information security. The first one we see is the idea of confidentiality. When you see that term, think of encryption. We want to make sure that only authorized people have access to the information. Then integrity. When you think of integrity, think of digital certificates or maybe even hashes. What we want to do is make sure that the information has not been changed, irrespective of what medium it goes through and who sent it or received it. It hasn't been changed. Then we look at authenticity. We want to make sure we know who it is who has conducted the exchange of the information, because we want each party to authenticate. We know who they are. Non-repudiation. We want to make sure that the sender of the message can't say, I didn't do it. I never sent that message. They can't deny having sent it. Why? Because there are identifiers bound up in the message that are inextricably linked to the sender. So we know that the sender did it. And through all of these elements, we want to make sure that the data, the information, the communication is available, allowing us to deliver and store and process information as an authorized user. I want to be able to get to it. I want to log into, open up my resources and make use of them, make sure they're available. even though I have encryption and digital certificates and IPsec and drive encryption and other security items going on, I still want to have my data available. All right, so in terms of functionality, so I have security, have all these restrictions, I have login, I have encryption, etc. But I have also features. So I have application developers that allow me to do all kinds of stuff with the software. But in order to use those features, it's very nice to have usability. We have a nice graphical user interface and buttons and 3D animations when I click on a menu. It's all nice to have around. So which one of these is going to be featured the most? So for instance, if I have security, I may not be able to use the nice functionality of the usability, or if I have too much usability, maybe I have less security, right? So we're always kind of bouncing around between these, trying to move as close to security as possible, keeping functionality and usability around too. So there are security challenges. So let's say that you are a corporation and it is the 80s and and you're running your organization just like normal, but then a company called Enron implodes, taking down billions of dollars, and then Congress and the Senate meet and they pass laws, and now there is a set of laws called Sarbanes-Oxley or SOX. And guess what you have to do? Comply. So now you have laws and regulations, and let's say that your organization merges with an organization that works with clinics and hospitals, and now you have HIPAA, and then let's say that you decide to start doing government contracts, and now you have FISMA. It goes on and on. You have laws and regulations that you must comply with, and then we have security challenges like lack of qualified and skilled cyber security professionals. Now, I hope right now that you will help us solve this by being one of the qualified and skilled cybersecurity professionals, right? So we have such a fast-growing area in technology and IT that we don't have enough skilled workers. So I'm glad you're in this class. Difficulty for centralizing security in a distributed computing environment. So you have a large organization like a corporation that has on-premise data centers. They have connections to Azure and AWS cloud providers. They have manufacturing arms that have IoT and OT networks. They have Wi-Fi networks and Bluetooth, and it just gets crazy. Lots of potential security problems. Distributed, all need to be secured. Also, we have a fragmented and complex privacy and data protection regulation industry. So which data protection law or regulation am I under? It's hard to figure out sometimes. And sometimes it even takes a professional and legal help for larger organizations to put that together. And then we have compliance issues because we have people who bring their own devices. We have tablets and we have phones and so on. And we have these policies in the organization, but then we have compliance and we have to make sure they work together. And then we have relocation of sensitive data from legacy data centers where we used to just have them in a file server and then we backed it up onto tape, and now it's in multiple cloud structures. And what if it's not configured appropriately to protect that data? Tell you what, there are many different security challenges, and it's usually not just one of these, but a combination of most, if not all, of these security challenges. Now, what happens is there are entities, people, attackers out there that want to get to your data. And so they have motives and goals. They have objectives. But you know what? They can't attack you unless they have this equation solved, right? So let's say that there is a medium-sized business and they have a website, and the website is used all the time, and it helps bring in money, helps direct users to information. But this website has a lot of vulnerabilities in it, right? Why isn't it attacked? Well, maybe maybe nobody knows about it. Maybe no one has tried to scan it. Maybe it hasn't been paid attention to. So there is no goal or motive to attack the website, even though there are methods to take it down, even though there are vulnerabilities on the website. There is no motive. All right. So then again, you can have a company. Let's say you have a company, and this company has a website, a web application, and there's a group of hackers, attackers, threat actors that hate that company. And so they're hacking away and trying, but guess what? There's no vulnerability. There's no way to get into it, and they're continually frustrated. Oh, that would be nice. We want to stop people from attacking. So it's all three of these that you need to be able to have an attack. So the motive originates out of the notion that the target system stores or processes or contains something valuable, and so the attackers want to have at it. So those attackers want to exploit the vulnerabilities in the system. And what are the motives? They just might want to break that business. They might steal information. They might want to create fear and chaos. I'm just kidding, chaos. Disrupting the critical infrastructures. They may want to steal money, financial loss. They might want to damage the rep of the target and make them look bad. Yeah, this company is bad. So there are many different things that they might want to do. So let's look at attacks. There are several different types of attacks in terms of classification. A passive attack, they're just looking around. So for instance, let's say that they're watching, they're sitting, let's say there's someone in a parking lot. They have a laptop, and they're looking at the Wi-Fi traffic, just sniffing it, looking at what traffic happens. They're not causing anything to happen. It's just passively listening. Or maybe somebody in one building has a parabolic antenna, and they're looking at the vibrations of the window in the conference room of the building across the way and listening in on the meeting in the conference room, right? That's passive. They're not actively interacting. Or they're going to LinkedIn and reading information about employees or about the company. Or they're going to a job site looking for jobs that are being advertised to see what types of protocols and programs that company has that they're hiring employees to help with. Those are all passive. There's no interaction. It's passive. An active attack is when you tamper with, you change things, you interact with, you may even disrupt communications by conducting an attack like a man-in-the-middle session hijacking or SQL injection. You know, an active attack is also if instead of just parking outside of the organization with a listening device, you just go into the front desk and you ask for information. You have now gone active. You're interacting with the target of your attack. A close-in attack is when there is close physical proximity. So, for instance, people have been attacked from across the world quite a lot. But what if they're in the building next door? Or what if the person is dressed like a delivery person, but really they're an attacker inside the organization with access to systems now where they can plug in stuff and gather and disrupt and access to things. So, for instance, a close-in attack can be social engineering or eavesdropping right there inside the organization. Or maybe standing there looking casual, but really shoulder surfing, reading what somebody is typing or writing. Or maybe somebody throws away an important document and somebody takes it out of the trash and uses it in an attack. We also have insider attacks. This is when somebody who works for the company violates the rules, intentionally causing damage, destruction to the organization. Like, for instance, stealing a physical device. So they may steal a laptop or a tablet or something like that, and that device might have information on it that can damage the organization if it gets out of the organization. Or they may stay a little bit late and look like they're working late, and then making sure everyone's gone off the floor, go in their pocket and pull out a little keylogger. Have you seen these before? Watch, try this. Open up a tab in your browser right now, and then DuckDuckGo or in Google, type in keylogger. See this word right here? Just type it in, keylogger, and then go to shopping. If you go to shopping, you'll see the keylogger is a little USB dongle. So if somebody stayed late, let's say they spent $200, bought 3 or 4 or 5 of the keyloggers, they can find the attack target. Let's say they go plant one behind the PC of the supervisor, go plant one behind the PC of the financial person, etc., and then they can collect the data, right? Or they can have a flash drive and plant a back door, malware, all kinds of stuff, right? These are insider attacks. And then we have distribution attacks. And they tamper with hardware or software before it even makes it to the site. So like, for instance, I've worked for many organizations in the IT department where we had agreements with Dell or agreements with HP that when we got PCs or servers delivered, they would have them pre-configured for us with our own images on them. That would save a lot of time. And so what can happen with a distribution attack is somebody can interfere with that at one of those companies, and when we get the PC, it's compromised. These are very similar, but it's a little bit different to supply chain attacks, where something like that happens with the distribution of software. So for instance, you have a Ubuntu Linux box and you're doing an update, but little do you know, somebody has changed the update parameters so that there is a malicious update that's coming in from an official source, right? That could be like a supply chain